Imagine inviting your friends over for the biggest soccer match of the year, ordering a mountain of wings and firing up the game, only to see a blurry, smeared mess every time the camera pans across the pitch. I've been there. Choosing the right TV for fast-paced sports is an absolute nightmare with all the marketing jargon out there. Motion blur and poor viewing angles can easily ruin the beautiful game. Today, we're counting down the top 7 TVs for watching soccer to solve this exact problem. And wait until you see the game-changing tech on our number 1 pick. 7. Hisense 55U8N. When I first set up the Hisense in my testing lab, I was genuinely excited by its spec sheet, especially given its relatively accessible price point. This mini LED Google TV promises a lot of brightness and local dimming zones, which usually translates to a punchy, vibrant picture. Booting it up for a weekend afternoon match, the first thing that struck me was indeed the sheer luminance of the panel. The green of the pitch pops aggressively, and if you are watching in a sunlit living room with no blackout curtains, this television fights off glare incredibly well, making sure you don't miss a single pass because of a stray sunbeam. However, as the match progressed and the pace quickened, some of the television's limitations began to show their face. Soccer is a notoriously difficult sport for televisions to render cleanly because of the constant, rapid camera panning across a uniform green background. During long crosses or fast counterattacks, I noticed a distinct struggle with motion handling. The ball would occasionally leave a faint but noticeable trail behind it, turning a crisp sphere into a slight comet shape. This motion blur can be quite distracting when you are trying to focus on the intricate footwork of a winger driving down the sideline. Furthermore, I have to mention the screen uniformity issues I encountered during my viewing sessions. When the camera pans horizontally across the grass, I could spot faint vertical banding, commonly known as the dirty screen effect. While it isn't a complete deal-breaker for casual viewing, it is something that sports purists will likely fixate on once they notice it. 6. TCL 115QM891G. The sheer scale of this television is impossible to overstate. When you sit in front of it, the players appear nearly life-sized, creating an immersive stadium-like experience that you simply cannot get from a standard 55-inch or 65-inch display. Watching a Champions League night game under the floodlights on this massive panel is a breathtaking experience, with the quantum dot technology delivering spectacularly rich and saturated colors that make team kits look incredibly vibrant. Yet, for all its awe-inspiring size, living with a 115-inch screen presents some unique challenges that became apparent during my rigorous soccer testing. First and foremost, when you stretch a 4K resolution across 115 inches of screen real estate, you are heavily reliant on the television's internal image processor to upscale the broadcast. Unfortunately, most live soccer matches are still broadcast in 1080i or compressed 720p by cable and streaming providers. On a screen this massive, the TCL's upscaling processor struggles to clean up the compression artifacts, resulting in a somewhat soft and noisy image where the players' faces can look a bit like watercolor paintings during wide stadium shots. Additionally, we have to talk about the viewing angles on a panel of this magnitude. When you have a screen that takes up an entire wall, you are naturally viewing the edges of the television at an angle, even when sitting perfectly centered in your living room. I noticed that the contrast starts to degrade near the far left and right edges of the display, causing a slight vignette effect during brightly lit day games. 5. Samsung Neo QLED QN80H. Moving on to the Samsung Neo QLED. This is where we start seeing a beautiful balance of performance and reliability for sports fans. As soon as I mounted this 75-inch beauty and fired up a live Premier League feed, I immediately appreciated the refinement of Samsung's Neo QLED technology. The mini LED backlight system on this television offers remarkably precise local dimming, ensuring that the bright stadium lights look intense without bleeding into the darker areas of the stands. The contrast is spectacular, giving the image a tremendous sense of depth and three-dimensionality that brings the broadcast to life. One of the standout features I tested extensively on the QN80H is its motion handling, which is absolutely vital for soccer. Samsung has implemented their advanced motion accelerator technology here, and the results speak for themselves. The camera pans across the pitch are incredibly smooth and judder-free. Even when a striker takes a blistering long-range shot, the ball remains perfectly sharp and round as it travels through the air, without any of the distracting ghosting I noticed on lower-tier models. You can comfortably track the fast-paced action without suffering from any eye fatigue over a full 90 minutes. Another major victory for the QN80H is its performance in bright environments. Weekend soccer matches often happen right in the middle of the day, and dealing with ambient room light is a common struggle. This television gets incredibly bright, easily cutting through heavy room glare. More importantly, it features an excellent anti-reflective coating that scatters direct light, meaning that annoying reflections from windows or lamps are dramatically minimized. The pitch remains a vibrant, consistent green, and the on-screen graphics remain highly legible, no matter what time of day you are watching. 4. LG OLED 65C5 PUA. There is a reason this lineup consistently wins awards, and my time testing it with live soccer completely reinforced that reputation. Because this is an OLED panel, it doesn't rely on a backlight. Instead, every single pixel emits its own light and can turn off completely. This means you get infinite contrast and perfect black levels. While perfect blacks might sound more important for moody cinematic movies, they actually work wonders for sports by making the bright team colors vividly pop against the rest of the image, in a way that feels almost holographic. Where the LG OLED 65C5 PUA truly shines for soccer, however, is in its instantaneous pixel response time. Unlike traditional LCD televisions, where pixels take a fraction of a millisecond to transition from one color to another, OLED pixels change state almost perfectly instantly. During my testing, this translated to arguably the clearest motion I have ever seen on a television. Whether it was a high-speed sprint down the wing or a chaotic scramble inside the penalty box, the image remained razor-sharp. The ball never blurred, and the player numbers on the back of the jerseys were perfectly readable, even during the most frantic camera movements. Furthermore, OLED technology naturally provides the widest viewing angles on the market. I intentionally walked all around my testing room while a match was playing, and the picture quality did not degrade one bit. Whether I was standing perfectly dead center or sitting off to the extreme side of the room, the color accuracy and contrast remained absolutely flawless. 3. Sony BRAVIA 9. Taking the bronze medal is the Sony, a television that completely redefines what a mini LED display is capable of doing. Sony has always been the undisputed king of image processing, and putting the BRAVIA 9 through its paces with various soccer broadcasts was a genuine revelation. My testing involved feeding it some of the most highly compressed, messy, low bitrate soccer streams I could find, just to see how the XR processor would handle it. The results were nothing short of magical. The processor analyzes the image frame by frame, aggressively cleaning up macro blocking and compression noise to present an image that looks strikingly close to native 4K. The backlight control on the BRAVIA 9 is arguably its most impressive physical feature. Utilizing Sony's next-generation mini LED drivers, the television has microscopic control over its dimming zones. When watching a game, this means the bright white graphics of the on-screen scoreboard and the stadium timer do not create any blooming or halo effect against the darker background. Everything is tightly controlled and precisely illuminated. The pitch itself benefits massively from this, displaying incredibly uniform shades of green without a hint of the dirty screen effect that plagues lesser televisions during horizontal camera panning. Color reproduction is another area where the BRAVIA 9 leaves the competition in the dust. Sony's color science leans heavily into natural, creator-intended accuracy rather than artificially boosting colors to make them look cartoonish. The grass looks like real grass, not a neon astroturf. Skin tones of the players and managers look perfectly natural, and the stadium crowd in the background retains an incredible amount of nuanced detail. 2. LG OLED 65 G5W UA. Just missing the top spot is the LG, part of LG's prestigious Gallery series. If the C series is fantastic, the G5 is simply a masterpiece of television engineering. When I unboxed and mounted this unit, the first thing I noticed was its stunningly uniform flush-to-the-wall design. It looks like a piece of high-end art, but the real magic happens when you turn it on. The G5 is equipped with micro lens array (MLA) technology, a revolutionary hardware advancement that places billions of microscopic lenses over the OLED pixels to focus the light outward. This completely shatters the traditional brightness limitations of OLED technology. Testing a Sunday afternoon soccer match in a room flooded with natural sunlight, the LG G5 performed spectacularly. I was getting the absolute perfect infinite blacks and flawless contrast that OLED is famous for, but combined with a searing peak brightness that could easily rival high-end LED televisions. The glare from my windows was essentially neutralized. When a team wearing bright white kits ran across the sunlit portion of the field, the highlights were intensely bright and realistic, creating a dynamic range that makes the broadcast look incredibly lifelike and immersive. Just like its younger sibling, the G5 benefits from OLED's instantaneous pixel response time, ensuring that motion blur simply does not exist on this television. Tracking a fast-moving soccer ball is effortless, and the camera pans across the pitch are buttery smooth without any of the trailing or ghosting artifacts. Coupled with the absolute perfection of its ultra-wide viewing angles, this television ensures that your entire living room receives a masterclass in picture quality. 1. Samsung Mio QLED QN990F. This is an 8K television, and before you dismiss 8K as overkill because soccer isn't broadcast in 8K, you need to hear about my testing experience. The magic of the QN990F isn't about feeding it an 8K signal. It is entirely about its state-of-the-art neural quantum processor 8K. When I played a standard 4K or even a 1080p soccer match on this television, the AI upscaling went into overdrive. It uses neural networks to analyze the pitch, the ball, and the players, literally inventing pixels to fill in the gaps. The result is a broadcast that looks sharper, cleaner, and more aggressively detailed than anything I have ever witnessed. The brightness capabilities of the QN990F are simply mind-bending. This television can push thousands of nits of peak brightness, meaning that even if you are watching a midday match in a literal glass sunroom, the picture will remain brilliantly vivid and completely legible. Samsung has also equipped this flagship model with their most advanced anti-glare coating yet. During my tests, I purposefully shone bright lamps directly at the screen, and the light was absorbed and diffused so effectively that it barely registered over the image of the game. It is the ultimate bright room performer. Motion handling on this 8K behemoth is flawless. The sheer processing power required to run an 8K panel means that the QN990F handles high-speed motion with effortless grace. The ball cuts through the air with perfect clarity, and the rapid horizontal panning across the field is free of any judder, stutter, or dirty screen effect. You can clearly read the sponsors on the advertising boards, even as the camera is flying past them.